Welcome back to sunny Long Beach with rotary motors in the background from the Group C and GTP race. I mean, this is just, it doesn't get any better than this. So a really exciting and intense day here at the Long Beach Grand Prix. We had IndyCar qualifying and we had an IMSA 100-minute timed event. I mean, and after the 24 hours of Daytona and the 12 hours of Sebring, oh my God, is 100 minutes a sprint race to end all sprint races? It felt like I snapped my fingers and it was over, but it was a really exciting race, and we'll talk about everything later on in this video. I think we should talk about IndyCar first, since, you know, I kind of left you on a cliffhanger last night about the status of Jimmie Johnson. Now, you know, at the time we thought, howdy. At the time we thought he wasn't going to be cleared to drive. I mean, you looked at that cast last night and you say, oh my God, he's not going to run. Maybe they're going to have to go get Sebastian Bourdais to run with him or run in his place. But Jimmie updated us this morning that he ultimately had a splint put in his hand. He ran the morning practice session, and ultimately they found out that, hey, Jimmie could still drive these cars. Unfortunately, he crashed once again, and this time he got his hand well away from the wheel. Actually, he gave a quote to, I think it was Nathan Brown of the Indianapolis Star, that said the actual injury wasn't so much keeping his hand on the wheel. It was actually when the wheel snapped around, it caught his wrist, and that was ultimately what caused the wrist fracture that Jimmie Johnson suffered from. Now, qualifications for today was quite strange, to say the least. I mean, I think we all kind of went into it expecting that there was going to be a lot of schmozzles, to use the Bob Varsha word for the millionth time. And the compounds as well were really a big talking point, as you guys heard yesterday in the interviews. It seems like you get one lap, and that ultimately was the case. And traffic was a huge deal as well. Scott McLaughlin was very upset at the end of qualifying. Really, I bet he thought he could have done much better than he did. The one lap thing really played into effect at the end of qualifying when Romain Grosjean, who was going to be on the front row of this race, got into the wall. People are shouting at me on the bridge. It's fantastic. Got into the wall, lost his two fastest laps, but because there were 2 seconds left on the clock and 6 minutes of qualifying is guaranteed, IndyCar allowed folks to get one more shot at Colton Herta, the pole sitter, if they wanted to. Ultimately, Felix Rosenqvist and Alexander Rossi tried, and they didn't improve, naturally, because ultimately the red tires are a one-lap show, especially in that Fast Six. However, we do have a track record, and that's the opportunity I will take to take a look at the starting grid for today's race, or tomorrow's race. You're probably seeing this today. Colton Herta and Joseph Newgarden on the front row. They were 1-2 in the race last year. Herta, a new track record, a 105.3. That's faster than the kart cars. That's faster than the AeroKit cars. Alex Palou, who won a championship here last year, but really wasn't racing for the win. He was racing for points last year. That's going to be very different. The guy who's finished second at St. Pete alongside Felix Rosenqvist. Alexander Rossi used to be the king of the beach here. Maybe he can bring up some of that old magic once again. And Romain Grosjean, who had that accident and will have to start from sixth. Could have been a lot worse. Will Power and Marcus Ericsson, who's had such a great year this year so far, and I think he'll have another great day at Long Beach, presuming, of course, he can stay out of the wall, which he was not able to do last year. Scott McLaughlin alongside of Simon Pagenaud. There's two drivers who were very upset at the end of qualifying because they could have qualified much better, and I think they will race better. Pato O'Ward definitely wasn't happy with an 11th place starting position alongside rookie Kyle Kirkwood, fastest rookie in the field. Graham Rahal alongside of Elio Castroneves, who was angry last year at the end of qualifying, but was the track record holder as well. Rinus VeeKay, who's had some good runs thus far, but he's going to be starting deep in the field in the number 21 car alongside Scott Dixon, who didn't get out of Q1, which is quite surprising. Connor Daly and Dave Malukas are looking for good results. They haven't had one this year. Christian Lundgaard alongside Jack Harvey and all Rahal lock out in that row. Callum Ilott alongside of Takuma Sato, who was the fastest or the best mover at St. Petersburg. Maybe we could expect the same thing happening to him once again at Long Beach, not Laguna Seca. Then we've got Devlin DeFrancesco, who got a penalty for actions at Texas in 23rd position. He actually qualified 17th on speed alongside of Dalton Kellett, who was so strong in qualifying in St. Pete, did not match that once again at Long Beach, Laguna Seca. Again, I say it, Jimmie Johnson suffering from that wrist injury. We're going to have to see how long he lasts tomorrow alongside of Tatiana Calderon in the last row. And of course, it was not an only IndyCar show today. It was also IMSA. 100 minutes, and the story going into today was Sebastian Bourdais and how dominant he was this weekend. However, early on in the race, Sebastian Bourdais found himself in the wall at the hairpin. He lost 21 seconds in that problem, but he came roaring back through the field, passed everybody on merit, and ultimately, when he handed the car over to Renger van de Zande hung on to win the race overall. Let's take a look at the results for IMSA. The top 5 in DPI, there were only 6 cars in the class. 01 Ganassi, Bourdais, and Van de Zande are ahead of the Sebring winning 02. JDC Miller Motorsports in 3rd, and then the Meyershank Racing Acura, the best Acura, the Orica chassis, not very good around this circuit. And the number 31 Whelen Engineering car, the 60 and the 31 certainly got into the argy-bargy sort of thing right at the end of the race, side by side at the hairpin, ultimately handing a podium spot to JDC. In GTD Pro, it was Aston Martin, which had been fast all weekend, taking the victory over the Lexus and the Corvette. It looked like the Corvette was certainly going to win, but they had a penalty to serve, and ultimately that's what put them in 3rd. The BMW RLL car and the Coupe Mercedes. Then you go to AM, and it's the number 1 BMW Paul Miller Racing. That was actually 3rd overall in GTD. The 66 Gradient Acura. That car in its home race, as you can clearly tell by calling it the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, they wanted a good result, they got it. Then you got a Lexus again on the podium, the AM car, and then the Turner BMW, which qualified 2nd, ultimately fell to 4th by the end of the race, and the Rolex 24 winning Porsche in 5th. So, tomorrow, IndyCar, the big show, the 46th running of the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Obviously, the open wheel stuff is the top billing at Long Beach. Colton Herta is going to be so hard to beat. Track record earning pace, and we know how fast he is and how dominant he is as the defending winner of this event. The question mark, and I look back to Nashville of last year, where we felt very similarly about Colton Herta. Dominant, but ultimately made a mistake. If there's a reason that he falls out of first place for any reason tomorrow, my question, and the one I want to see answered from Colton Herta, is can he overcome that adversity like he did last year, coming from 14th position on the grid to win? Now that you're playing with a lead and not chasing anybody, can he win? I think that's going to be the key. Drivers who aren't Colton Herta who could potentially win, I think Simon Pagenaud is a really good bet. He was quick on the reds. He was quick on the blacks. I think that's one thing that maybe some people are overlooking. I mean, Pagenaud was almost at the track record pace on the blacks. So if you think about that throughout the course of the race where you are required by rules to run both compounds, I would hazard a guess to think that Simon Pagenaud, as a former winner both in the ALMS and in IndyCar, will be in the mix at the end of the race. So tomorrow, Long Beach Grand Prix for IndyCar. I'm so excited to bring you guys coverage. I mean, look at this view. This is unbelievable. SoCal, and also the weather's way better today. It's about 20 degrees cooler today. You might be noticing with the less frizz in my hair today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave your predictions for the Long Beach Grand Prix in the comments section below. I'm going to go listen to some Group C cars. We'll see you in the next video.